So my sister, who was my beloved best friend in the whole world, and the two of us started channeling together, and we had this really deep soul, like twin connection, passed away during COVID. And it was devastating to me. But Debashree was taking one of my classes, and she sent me something in the mail. It was this beautiful painting that had an infinity symbol on it, and a ladybug, and a heart, and some lungs. And my sister died of a hole in her heart. Hey everybody, Kelly here, the angel lady. So I know the energies have been a lot and they've been intense, but we have passed through this portal, this pinpoint that is just so beautiful, this choice point, and we're on the other side. And we're in this gestation period. And so now it's time to get really, really serious about magic. And magic should be fun and sweet and light as we step into synchronicity and into the flow state, but it also has to be intentional. It just doesn't show up unless we align with its vibration. And one of the easiest ways to come into that 0 point, into that stillness, into that sweet spot of magic is through our hearts and through our expression, our creativity and art. And so it's time now to come together and actually build things as a community and to gather and to make things and to have fun and to play and to get the energy rolling and the spiral moving to build the new earth. So Debashree is here with me today. And those of you who don't know Debashree, she's an incredible artist. She has created the art for the Master Ascension Light Code Oracle deck. She's also an architect. She's a graduate of Harvard. She's super sweet, super smart and intentional. And we're going to chat with you today about how do we build the new earth together? What does that look like? How do we come together? And something that we're going to be doing to gather people in community to start to build the new earth. So, hey, hi, Debashree.
Hi, thank you so much. Yeah, I think from our very first conversations, we always spoke about really building New Earth, right?
Yeah.
And community that we would someday build, and all these beautiful temples and altars and magical things, right? That we will hope to bring into the world at some point.
You
Yeah,
remember that we wanted to build the water temple?
I
And
still do.
I know.
Yeah. New Earth, right? And I think that is what is going to really set us free from, this crazy timeline and all the other things. And it's a beautiful segue to that big dream, right? And so entering the energy of creation by way of ritualizing and, bringing intention to every small piece of creation, in our everyday lives, I think is part of the flow and the magic, right? And that's why looking at art right now makes a lot of sense.
We're all so busy. At least I know that I can be so busy that I forget to take time to move into that creative process. And when we're in that expressive process of creating or building altars or land art or painting or listening to music, that's when we come into that 0 point where everything just falls away and we're really, really present. And I think we've been programmed to unplug from that creative part of ourselves and to work, 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 or do things linear. And so we move away from that linear programming into this organic timeline and into the new earth. The creation process, like, is going to start to really surge, and we want to connect with it as much as we can and just really be in that beauty.
Yeah, and also what comes to mind is that we discussed telepathic communication so much in the organic timeline and with the falling away of time. And that's exactly what happens when you're, engaged in a process that is creative or in art making. Your brain waves are kind of shifting into that state where you do become telepathic and you do receive, all kinds of information. And I think it's a gift that all of us have access to. And I think it's a great modality to experiment with, to be able to open up to telepathic communication also, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think some of us are, I know, even in school when you're a kid, you can be told you're not good at art. Or I know Casey in third grade, he got F in art. I'm like, how can you get an F in art? And then there's the belief system that comes in like, I'm not good at that and I can't do it. And people shy away from it. And we lose that creative sense of self. But we can channel our art. I mean, there's so many ways to channel, but channeling art is such a beautiful way. I remember many years ago taking a like called soul painting, and you just have this big blank canvas and colored paint everywhere, and you have no idea what you're going to do, what it's going to look like, and you just allow yourself to be drawn to the color, and the color speaks to you, and you just take it and you make a mark and then another mark. And the artwork that came out of people that had never painted or did anything before was so extraordinary because they were just fully surrendering, moving into that creative process, and it was really, really beautiful. I want to show people some of your art and what we're going to be doing, if that's okay. Let me share my screen real quick with everybody. So we're going to be doing something together beginning on April 7th. I'm going to share her art process. It's called Weave Your Magic. And so some of the things we're going to be doing together is energy-based art. Oh, you know, we should tell them about how you and I met. I think
Right.
sharing for 1 second. So Debashree, so my sister, who was my beloved best friend in the whole world, and the two of us started channeling together, and we had this really deep soul, like twin connection, passed away during COVID. And it was devastating to me. And there's all this magic and synchronicity over the years that happened between of us. It was really incredibly profound. Part of it had to do with this ladybug, that she would come to me as a ladybug. And it's a whole big long story. But Debashree was taking one of my classes. I think it was Surfing the Tsunami around sacred geometry. And she sent me something in the mail. It was like a scroll and it was a gift. And it came in the mail and I opened it. It was this beautiful painting that had an infinity symbol on it. Think about that. I forgot about that.
I forgot about that too.
Oh my God. And a ladybug and a heart and some lungs. And my sister died of a hole in her heart after battling pulmonary fibrosis. And she had on her wrist an infinity symbol that Debashree didn't know. And when the art came, it was just so like she had tapped into my sister Marielle's frequency. And it was like my sister Marielle was talking to me. And when I opened the art, I remember just being like, oh my God, this is incredible. And so art can be this incredible way to communicate with people who've passed on the other side and to bring them in, a way to communicate and connect with the ascended masters and the spirits, and a way to also embed ourselves in the frequency of symbol and symbology and art for healing and so many things. And so I remember calling her and just being like really, really moved by this piece of art, and felt like my sister was talking to me through Debashree and through the art with her. And then she would listen, Debashree would listen to the transmissions that would come in over the years and make art for the channeling. And that's how the Master Ascension Light Code Oracle deck came to be, because I would channel something in a class, let's say, you know, Lakshmi would come in, right? And the elephants and the transmission, and then Debashree would make the art to match what the transmission said, or Mary Magdalene would come in, or the blue Syrian elders. And so we started to compile all this art. And then all of a sudden we had so much, we're like, oh my God, we should make a whole deck for everybody to enjoy it, and the meaning and the messages. And that's how the deck came about. But that's how, for us, we wove magic together through the art and Debashree's art, which is really, really beautiful. And, you know, with AI art, we kind of, it can make anything, right? And it can look fantastical, but it's missing that energetic signature, that personal beauty, and that frequency that's actually activating. And the art itself can activate us. So, okay. Should I go back and share my screen, or do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I think that's also why art is relevant to us as light beings, right? Because we're receiving light and we're receiving healing, right? And not just in looking at it, but also in creating it and receiving what we need to receive, while we, think we're just sitting down to make something. But so much more happens in that space. And so many great artists have established the value in this. And we visited Downhor, and Downhor had this incredible, it was eye-opening for me, right? All of Falco's work started with these symbols and these, these drawings that he made, and then he eventually built it and he manifested it. And the same thing with Alex Gray and, Allison. They've done the same thing. They started with these drawings that they received telepathically together while they were on journeys. And today they've built this beautiful piece of new earth. And so I think it's part of that journey. So yeah, it feels really great to be able to share it, right, with a community that can then help build this piece of new earth eventually by way of the art.
Yeah. And it reminds me of you inspire me to just kind of get out paper and pen and markers. And I was doing that one day and I drew this heart. Remember the heart I drew? And then there was blood dripping from it. And
Yeah,
I thought that something was wrong with my heart, and I was really connecting into Debashree at that moment. And it's a sad thing, but her father then passed within a day or two of that artwork of a
yeah,
heart attack, suddenly and unexpectedly. So I didn't realize that there was this weaving between you and me where Mary Ellen, who is somebody so close to me in my life, passed, and art came through you. And then your dad, who is so close with you, the art came through me. And for me, it came before he passed, and for you, it came right after she passed. And that there's that weaving there, and brought thought of that before. It's really special. So we can receive sometimes messages. I remember times when I've been really ill and I would just sit down and draw, and something would come in and it would show in the drawing, like energetically in my body, what needed to be healed. Or a jaguar came in and I would draw him and he would like devour the illness. And so artwork can bring so much. It's not just something to look at. It's all right. Let me share with everybody. So we're going to do this beautiful thing together to help build the new earth. And we'd love for you guys to join us. It's going to be really special. So Debashree, you want to share briefly these few things we're going to all do?
I think there's also going to be a process in which, I can try to explain the nuts and bolts of the creation of the artwork.
Yeah, I
But
want to
there's
show
also
our
this,
artwork while you're saying that. Yeah.
yeah, all this art, yeah. Essentially, to me, it's a journey. So every piece of art represents a journey, and there is a teaching in it. And I feel like that is something that we can leave behind for somebody who's looking at it to receive the same, the teaching. And so to me, that becomes very important and motivates me to produce the art, not just that it looks beautiful or, any of that, but that it is taking the message forward, right? Like it's carrying forward something. And I think that is also a very deeply human endeavor and instinct, right? In all of us to be able to have something that we can leave behind. And art is very true. It's the truth, right? You can't really hide anything in art. I mean, from my experience, when you get down to the making of art, it eventually speaks to who you are and what you need. Like you said, if there's something that you need to receive or you need to give, right? It all comes through in the art. And that's the kind of process that we've been working with, even with the light codes. And it's
Yeah.
always this energy of giving and receiving. And so we're going to work on different techniques and rituals and practices that create that connection and build that bond, right, between all of us, and also our knowing of who we are and what it is that we want to leave behind. Also, our connection to the natural forces around us, right? How do we connect back to the influences of the natural forces around us, and how, that changes our experience of reality? And really, that is entering this multidimensional living,
Mm.
right? And
Yeah,
so art,
that's what we need in the new earth, right? Is to connect in in that way. So you're going to share with us some of the techniques and ways that you create the art, and we're going to make wands and altars, and then we're all going to make these unique pieces to create our own like collective oracle deck as a community
Yeah,
that will be embedded in the web.
I think it's about developing our own personal energy signature, right? Which we can then embed into the mother source
Mm.
creation grid. And we establish a connection to New Earth, which is uniquely ours, right? Because all of us, like we've learned, all of us hold one piece in this humongous puzzle. And it's really about identifying the truth of your one piece and really like making it so beautiful that you've done your part. And so it's about really diving in so deep to try to uncover what that piece is for all of us. And so there are different artistic techniques that we will experiment with, like the spirit drawing, the Nahwal drawing, right, with
Oh.
seeds, which can establish. The thing with art is you don't use your mind, your intellect, right? You're already bridging the two hemispheres and you're using a different intelligence, a very deeply feminine process. And so I believe that's a beautiful exploration of the self and to identify our unique signature. And then we can establish also these unique dimensions to this mother source energy, right?
Mhm.
As it is being reflected in all of us. So it's a mirror. The mother source will start to reflect back these energies, right? These unique energies. And to me, I see that that is the new piece of creation, right? That we can all share. The possibly a deck of that is containing all these energies that the mother source is giving and receiving, is establishing
And
this
it's weaving us all together as a community
weaving.
to build the new earth. All of our frequencies are coming in. And here, Debashree has created here this art. This is me as like the crone with long white hair and the white lion who is my totem. And I'm in a cave here in Ireland. I have a Celtic I'm Irish, and this golden egg that we were working with. And there's a lot going on in here. If you really zoom in, you can see this beautiful chalice and these andaras that are happening. And there's so much depth. This rainbow light, the Archangel Raphael, obviously, who I channeled, the infinity symbol over my head, the auric frequencies, the honeycomb. I mean, there's so much happening here. And so we're going to connect to build this. And what's really exciting is that Debashree has offered that 3 people who are taking the class, and you guys can register in the link below for the art class. It's going to run for 3 weeks, are going to get their own piece of art made by her where their energy is connected and embedded in it. And so this, in a sense, is the signature of my vibration in this beautiful piece of art. And here, Debashree's embedded me when I needed some healing in this beautiful piece of art to receive all this healing and energy that is coming in. We're in like a healing container. And here is this Lemurian vibration with the dolphins and the whales and the Lemurian crystals. And it was made in mind for Veda Austin as she's holding the vibration for the water. And there's a few other select people, not many, maybe 1 or 2 others I won't name here, but that we brought their energy and embedded it in a specific piece of art to carry those codes and that vibration. And so you guys will have an opportunity to understand how Debashree creates this. And then for some of you, she'll make it for you, but we'll all make our own and embed ourselves energetically in like a vibrational signature of who we are. It's really special. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. Did that make sense?
Yeah, there's just so much information now that we're receiving all these light codes, right? In all our conversations, we end up eventually realizing that, wow, there's just so many directions that we can go in. It's truly multidimensional, right? And that's why the artworks are always, now that I look at them in retrospect, they're always like layered and there's like, it's this balance as building and everything is hidden inside everything else. And there's just because there's just so much information in every piece. And now we find that it's not only is it fractalized, but it's also like a part to the whole. So it's got a a holonomic quality where every light code carries pieces of all the other light codes in it, right? So there's so many things that we can discuss in the in detail when we get into the artwork, and why is it that there are these different layers and how that helps our perception. So every time you look at the drawing, and this includes me, right? Every time I look at something, I myself realize that, oh, this is creating a completely different form today that I didn't intend for it, when I was drawing it. And this happens a lot. You'll see something in the drawing that I didn't necessarily put in there. So was it a plasmic thought that is, creating itself even after the actual creation of the drawing? So it can go into many different, scenarios, and we can take it as far as everyone's willing to go. But yeah, it's a beautiful way of thinking,
It's
right? And
beautiful.
exploration.
And
It's freedom.
And think about all the art for over the years that you did before you and I connected, that in retrospect, you would go back and be like, wait a minute, there's messages in that artwork that pertain to what we're doing now that threaded through that you didn't know why you were drawing it or why you were painting it. And now it makes perfect sense. And so sometimes we make stuff and we don't see it, or we look back at the art and then there's clues and images and information. And same with channeling. You can listen to one transmission one day and 10 years later or 2 weeks later, listen to it again. And there's a whole different array of energy and information that you didn't hear the first time. So anything that's deeply connected to source and to spirit that's coming through in a creative process is going to keep giving us magical symbols, information, downloads, and information that we might not get now, but when our consciousness is ready or we're prepared to receive it or understand it, it shows up later. So,
Yeah, that's a whole journey. I mean, there's so much to talk about. Like do you remember those drawings of those spheres that I kept drawing? I have like 500 or 800 geometrical expressions of something that I still don't really understand. They're like codes, but I have no idea what they were. But I was just in this zone where it was just coming through, right? And you just have to, and sometimes it comes like a tsunami, and you just have to let go and just let it be. And so now I have like a stack of those drawings, and they're layers and layers of information that I still don't have access to, perhaps.
but you have
But
access on a cellular level, like you receive the
uh,
code. But yeah, you may understand them in a couple years. You
but
might wake
thank
up in
God for art, right? So you
the
get them out.
right.
Otherwise, they're all going to be like inside somewhere. So thank God that I had a tool and I could like put it down. And then those beautiful dreamscapes, right?
Oh,
The art that you receive, like that's a very strong experience for me. And that's how I connect also to places that I travel to. Like Egypt has a different frequency that comes through in dream time. And it produces this, you've seen the art, right? And all these different places have these energies that somehow connect to your sleeping body and produce these incredible, I call them dreamtime drawings, because they're just things that I could never have imagined in my living hours, right? It's really helpful to be able to. There are many times that I see things that I still don't know how to draw, like this. I just can't draw them.
and
But
but that's important for other people to know that they don't have to know how to draw in order to
oh,
do
no way. You don't have to know anything, right?
it.
You just have to be willing to let it come through you. And
Yeah.
then it can just come out as a squiggle, or it can be like a magnificent oil painting. But yeah, it's becoming more and more irrelevant. The tools or the modality, it doesn't matter. It's the energy in it, the frequency of it, right?
Exactly.
And it's also about learning to see that. So we can discuss all of that, and we can feel some drawings are especially more alive, like they're almost moving, there's beings in it, and all kinds of things that, and how you use different tools like crystals and photography and embedding all that information. So in each of the light codes there is over 100 layers of invisible information that is just embedded, like put something under your pillow and you expect that that information is entering your brain. It's kind of like that. So you don't see it, nobody sees it, but it's there. Like something that you and I have shared or experienced or we have received. It's all in there. And so it's like a process of encryption and decryption, which really, I love that.
It's so magical. It's so magical. All right. Well, I'm excited. So you guys, if you want to join us, it's April 7th, I think to the 24th. It'll be on Zoom. It'll be recorded if you can't make the replay. We're going to weave magic together, move into expression, playfulness, build something as a community and create the new earth. And I'm so excited. So we love you so much. And you can join us by registering at the link. We'll put it below. And in the meantime, go and play and make altars and wands and skip in the forest and get your paints out or your guitar or write or whatever brings you bliss to move into that 0 point of stillness in the organic timeline. So, all right. Mwah.
Right. Thank you
Deborah.
so much.
All right. Talk soon. Bye, sweetie. Mm.